I'm Brother Josh Hamby, Director of School of Christ International over India. 2 Corinthians chapter 4, verse 3 and 4 says, "If our gospel be hid, it's hid to them that are lost, in whom the God of this world hath blinded the minds of them which believe not, lest the light of the glorious gospel of Christ, who is the image of God, should shine unto them." The light of the gospel must shine. That's why we run the School of Christ in the slums of Mumbai, on the border of India and Pakistan, the villages of the Himalayan mountains, and the hills of Jammu and Kashmir, in some of the hardest mission fields on earth. In Nepal last year, we ran 12 School of Christ. We brought as many graduates as possible back for a 3-day fast and prayer in Kathmandu. We had 288 men and women ministers come, and the testimonies were great. The healings, the revivals, the churches that were being planted. One church had 2,500 converts in 3 months from simply just ministering the gospel. Many had taken the gospel to Tibet, to Bhutan, and the entire villages was coming to Christ. All 14 states in Nepal have the gospel being preached. Even Munang and Mustang, the hardest 2 cities in Nepal, have the gospel being preached. To get converts and to get to Munang and Mustang, you have to go over a 20,000-foot mountain range of Annapurna just to get there with the gospel. Very few have ever took the gospel, but we have 4 pastors right now, 2 in each city, preaching the gospel, and they tell me they have had hundreds of converts in some of the hardest places on earth. While we were having the meetings in Kathmandu, the power of God came down. People came out of their houses asking us, "What meaneth this? What is going on in this church?" 3 young girls came and asked me, "Can we come into the church?" I said to them, "Yes, you can come." And the oldest girl said to me, "We have never been in a church before." The light of the gospel was shining into that region. In India, we have graduates in every state. One of the greatest disciples to come out of the School of Christ is Paul Balan. Paul Balan is from a very, very rich Hindu family. He was walking home one day and he saw a TV in the church. And so he went to see, he thought we were showing a movie. He sat down on the outside of the church and he heard Pastor Clendenin preaching the gospel. First time he had ever heard a Christian sermon, a Pentecostal message. He came in, he was born again. He went home, his family threw him out of the family. They had a funeral for him and pronounced him dead. Paul Balan came to the School of Christ in South India. He went through the school, graduated, and I didn't see him for 2 years. At the end of 2 years, I was up on the mountainside of Jammu and Kashmir, and he came to me. He hugged me, almost broke my ribs. He said to me, "Brother, do you remember me?" And I didn't remember him, but he said, "I'm Paul Balan. I'm graduated the School of Christ." He said, "Now, in 2 years, I've led 50 Muslims to Christ. And to date, he's led 70 Muslims in the city of Jammu, a war-torn city on the border of Pakistan and India." In November, he was preaching the gospel, and a woman with a broke back came into the meeting. She was crippled over. She walked right into the middle of the service. He went down the aisle. He prayed for her, and God completely healed her back on the spot. She ran out of the church shouting, "I'm healed," and he kept preaching the gospel. A few minutes later, this lady come back. She had 20 people following her. He told me, he said, "I thought they were fixing to stone me to death." But they came into the church. All 20 of her family were born again. They were baptized on the spot. The church was filled. The whole community was touched with the power of the gospel. In Mumbai, in one of the slum regions this year, we've seen many sick people that were healed during the School of Christ. A family, a husband and wife, a very wealthy Hindu caste family. They were in prayer one morning praying to their idol god, and they said they heard a voice say, "Follow me and I will show you God." So they began to follow the voice, and the voice was telling them where to turn, and they were simply walking the streets of Mumbai, and they were led to the church. And when they walked in, it was the first day of the School of Christ in that church, and the lesson was true repentance. That family got down, was born again, and now they have given a lot of money to the church. They are serving in the church. God is moving great in their lives. I believe now they're even deacons in that church. In Gujarat, a very difficult area, we were running the School of Christ, and a woman brought 2 mentally handicapped people into the meeting and asked, "Can God heal them?" Our director prayed for them. God healed the 2 handicapped young people, and they were completely made whole on the spot. And near that same village, I was preaching. They have no power in the village where I was at. It was completely just clay huts on the road when I went in. That day we preached the gospel. The whole village come to hear. 200 people were saved. The whole village come to Christ. And now there's a great church that was planted in that city that day. The light of the gospel is shining throughout India, Nepal, Tibet, Bhutan, Pakistan, Bangladesh, and this year we're going to put the School of Christ in South Korea and even into Cambodia. I received an email even this morning from a young person in Cambodia from India has been preaching the gospel. They have nearly 50 pastors ready for the School of Christ in Cambodia in the month of October. Amy Carmichael said, "You can give without loving, but you cannot love without giving." This gospel is a giving gospel. Giving of our lives, of our finances. 100 times a day we ask God to help us. And God is asking us this one thing. Who will go? Who can I send? Who will take the light of this glorious gospel, the message of God's dear Son? May we respond in this hour. Here am I, Lord. Use me. Use me to get your light into those darkened lands, into the streets of Mumbai, the hills of Nepal, unto the war-torn areas of Pakistan. May we respond and say, God, let us take the gospel in this hour. Let us reach those that we can reach. Let us do all that we can in this last hour. May God bless you.